Ryan, thanks for coming out here.
Yes, sir.
Do this podcast with me.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Man. So why don't you let everyone know your background with music and what you do and what you continue to do right now?
Most definitely, man. So I just, music came about at a young age. I grew up, sports were my thing, but I grew up, I'm a product of what I call the shower. I sang in the shower a lot because I had good reverb and, everybody sings in the shower. Come on. So I always loved music. My dad, Chamorro barbecues, just music blaring. So music's always lived in my heart, my soul, and it really didn't. I was a late bloomer as far as performance. It came a lot later in life. Once I was, because I played golf, like I said, so that was primary. That's where all my energy went and time. And then once that dream kind of sailed away, music came in. And it was the most clutch timing because then I just found when I played live, it just really it brought up something in me that's like nothing else has ever done, right? But it did start in Hawaii when I moved here. It was back in like 2000 when I moved here for high school. The ukuleles were in my house. And I just started picking up the ukulele and just kind of toying around on that. And then my dear brother back home in North Carolina, his name's Daniel Perez. He's singer-songwriter, amazing. And one of his songs, I had been given a CD by my uncle, and I was listening to it, and I was breaking it down by ear. And so broke it down, I started singing it, and then I was at that moment where I really just kind of was like, I think I can do this. So I started playing, got a reaction, so that just kept to get, more and more music flowing. And then after that, I started playing open mics, gigs, and then I started playing with my good brother Chris Wilcox back in North Carolina, and then that really led into the gigging world. So I started scoring my own gigs and started playing music. So play ukulele. Vocals are my primary, but the ukulele is there to support. I've been really trying to learn more on how to, bring more with the ukulele because it can, sometimes it can get a little mundane, but if you do a lot of nice right hand technique, it can be percussive and bring all the different elements and make it fun.
Definitely. So about how old were you when you started?
So I mean, as far as like playing live, we'll go ahead and say I was about 13 or 14. It's pretty much right when I got into high school.
Yeah.
So kind of late for
Definitely.
because like my daughter 9 years old, she's already singing and doing all that, it wasn't like that for me when I was younger. So it came way later in life.
And here you are now, man. Like, what are the biggest gigs and stuff and people you've played with?
So this past year has been what I would say, believably unbelievable. I've gotten under the wings of Henry Capono through the Henry Capono Foundation, the On the Rise Artist Program. I was welcomed into that, and it's been amazing. My first show was at the Blue Note, and I got to open up with my own original songs. I opened up for the Makaha Sons and Henry Capono, and we all jammed together at the end, and that's an experience I'll never forget. And then from that, it led into the Waikiki Shell for the 50th year celebration of C&K Music. And I was just hanging, just up on the Waikiki Shell stage, singing with Henry and the band, and it's just been, it's kind of pinched myself sometimes.
That was definitely probably a huge audience. Yeah. How was the nerves? How was the?
It was good. Did
you find that 13-year-old boy oh my goodness, I didn't think I'd be here.
No, I definitely. You know what? It was I went on stage 2.5 hours. I think it was 2.5 hours after the thing started, and we had already been there for sound check, and up until about 5 minutes before I had to go on, I was doing good. I was back there hanging out with all the legends, and John Cruz and Brother Nolan, and everybody, Kalapana, and that whole lineup was amazing. And they said, Ryan, you're about to go on. And that's when I had to go back and just, I started breathing, stretching, just getting in my zone. But then once it happens, man, it's just like you walk onto that stage and you just see a sea of people. And it's just like, this is it. Like this is what I've been, this is it. Like this is what I've been training to do, and what I've been playing and wanting to achieve is just to be on. That's to me what I believe. As far as I love amphitheater, so like obviously in Hawaii, that's kind of maybe is the biggest theater other than like Blaisdell or whatever the bigger arena shows are. So to already have been on that stage and then play with Henry Capono and just Johnny Valentine was up there, Alex Kawakami, all the boys up there. Just we're up there jamming and we're just in our. It just once you get up there, like I said, you fall into this spot. Like we've played a lot of music together, at the Blue Note already, and then rehearsing, and so you just find that, and then you tap into like it's that soulful level, spiritual level kind of thing, and then you just sing your heart out to the crowd, and you get that response, and then it's just I could barely sleep that night.
Definitely, dude. That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
oh my
awesome.
Goodness. So as you know, the topic of this podcast is like basically music and how powerful it can be. Mm-hmm. Basically people out there with we're focusing on people like with mental illness, which can be one of the main ones is depression.
Yeah. And
not only as an artist but as a listener too. So I'm sure like we both know as musicians that listening to an artist, it can be like the same thing. As an artist, you can write an original song to help you cope with something. Not only just playing the music, but just writing it down in general helps. It's very healing. At the same time, we have listeners out there that, when you go through a hard time, most people out there, maybe not all, but a lot, they'll put on their favorite song or put on a song that relates to them and just they sit down, close your eyes, just.
That's it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So for you, what does music mean to you and what does it do for you? And like throughout your journey of music, has there ever been a time where it was powerful and it helped you or assisted you with anything?
Yeah, most definitely. First and foremost, we're all human. You know what I mean? Like we can, I've been in a state of depression. I'll say it. And what got me out of it? Music, friends, family, choosing to elevate the state, right? But music is a huge factor of that, right? So I just took a music therapy class through Berkeley online. And one of the activities was to go into your whatever choice, Apple Music, Spotify, whatever you do, and you create playlists, not only for happy, you create sad playlists. You create one for every emotion. Because it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be in a low space. You know what I mean? Because as we can only go as high as, how do we say this? We can only go as high as we go low, if that even makes sense. So if we go deep, dark into the trenches, you know what? There's a big peak waiting for you. And sometimes we got to go down there to find it. And so we can just come up and just like thrive, right? But through that class, creating those playlists, it's just such a lovely tool. Music is that. It's a tool that can help us move through emotions that aren't sometimes pleasant, And then when we do have the pleasant, when we're happy, coming off the stage with Henry at the Shell, like playing the jams and like sulking it in and like just being with those emotions, I think it's just crucial. And I have an original song I'm working on right now called Stay With The Feeling. That means whatever feeling you're feeling, stay with it. It's okay. Be in it. Move the energy may it be through tears, I don't know, playing golf, whatever you do, like move the energy and stay with the feeling all at the same time so that we can just keep, putting one foot in front of the other in this game of life, right? But I do think as far as, touching back to what you're saying about mental, wellness and illness and depression, like I said, like I've gone through bouts, just stepping away from, I was in the Coast Guard, 2 paychecks a month, like all this, and then living in Hawaii, right? So I got out right in the midst of COVID. So seeing all, like the financial state going down, right? It just like starts playing on you. And then you're like, what am I doing? And it just gets us in these deep, dark holes, at least for me. I'm gonna speak from my perspective. But yeah, was in it. Like this deep, I was like, yeah, I'm going to pursue music. I'm getting out. Yeah. And then you just at this still like, okay, I'm used to this regiment. Like I'm used to being told what to do. And then now I have all this time. I don't even know what to do with it. And found myself in this big hole. And as far as music, so music to me, it's in my soul. It's a soulful thing for me. And it's a spiritual thing. When I play, like I just want to write and catch songs that not only get me through hard times, but that people can relate to. That's what it's about, man. When we get in a room and we start singing a song, and then after the show, someone comes up to you in tears saying, wow, like that, I can relate with that. And I have been through that, and now I feel seen, I feel heard, wow. And so that's what I live and eat, breathe for. Like when I write music, and I've had that happen a couple times, and it really keeps my train going. Like I just want to keep doing that. And that's literally what I want to do with my music is travel the world, connect with humans, have my music, be played or play music, my music in the space. And I want to take I don't want it to be my music. Yeah, it's original music, but it's not even about that. It's about us getting in a safe room, feeling safe and vulnerable to express our emotions and be able to feel and heal, right? And so music, just to cap on that, music to me is something that it really can trigger the vagus nerve, and then that will pop us into trigger the parasympathetic nervous system. That's our rest and digest, right? That's where we go in when we're relaxing. We're on a beach. Not all the time we're on a beach, but if we're on a beach and we've had a few days to sink in, and you finally just your brain's not telling your body what to do anymore. Your body's telling your brain, yeah, we got this, right? And Definitely. We can relax. And we don't get there enough in life. We're always hustle bustle, got the grind, trying to make ends meet, right? So not all the time do we have that chance to truly breathe and let ourselves naturally heal, so we don't have to rely on all these medicines that pop in our bodies. We can do this, right? And it's we can just really sit and get rid of and really do something about moving the stress and the anxiety, allowing our body to actually produce things that will, whatever it may be. I'm not super in tune with all of it. I get the basic labels of what's happening within the body, but at an in-depth level, I would love to keep researching that. But yeah, so it's just allowing our bodies to really move stress, anxiety, because those two are they're not good for us, right? So Definitely when we can settle into a more calm state, we can allow this natural healing to happen. And music is right there. So, maybe through binaural beats, putting headphones on, there's all kinds of different, there's delta, theta, alpha, gamma, there's all these ones, you research it, but basically it helps us with different things. If you want to go on a deeper sleep, or if you want to be a little more in REM sleep, or if you need to get a little boost for the day, you can put these binaural beats in your, in your ears. So it's two different frequencies, but then it creates one. And so it allows the body to just it responds to it, and certain ways respond different with others. But that's truly, I think, it's not even a standard practice. So it's it's just, they don't consider that standard practice. You gotta you see a lot of movement these days with sound therapy, music, sound baths. It's pretty magical when you can really let that music just overtake you and then relax.
For sure.
And settle down,
And yeah, dude, what you brought up earlier about writing music and just listening to music that you can relate to. I feel that's one of the most key parts of original song, whether it's your song or another artist's song. I think the most powerful part is, you can bring 10 people into a room, right? Play them, let's say, a sadder song, right? Mm-hmm. I think the most magical part about that is that everyone can relate to that song in a different way. because
Definitely.
some might relate to it like a breakup and it brings back memories because of the lyrics.
Yeah.
To others it could be like a family loss, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing that one song that you can write or listen to can relate to an individual in like multiple different ways, and it's pretty crazy. You said that you were in class for like music therapy and stuff. Besides making playlists, did you learn anything else about like music therapy and like what it can do?
Yeah, I mean, it was like one of the classes that I took in my major. I did interdisciplinary music studies, so I basically it was kind of an elective. So I focused in songwriting, music business, and music production.
Nice.
But I saw this one, and I was like, I like this. So yeah, there's so much. It's about what I was saying, playlist, but it's also down to like it breaks it down to the like core fundamentals of living, like breathing. Like when do you ever think about breathing? It just becomes a thing you do. But when you could put intention to like taking a breath, count to 4, hold for 4, down for 4, that helps us get into parasympathetic too, right? So that helps us get into this restful state. Just taking care of your body, working out, feeding it solid, nutritious, conscious food, and then it just basically gets into those like core fundamental pieces, the class did. And then, but a lot of it, I'm telling you, a lot of it was obviously about music, and then how that can like just really like affect the body. With how you experience it, right? So, yeah, it was a short class and it had a lot of information on it, but like that's the core pieces I took away from it and I just thought that was so lovely because it's so simple. It's like a lot of us are looking at our phones anyway, so might as well just go in, create a playlist that could potentially down the line I can click play and it'll help me get through something, right?
Definitely. So, in your opinion, you would say that music for you, or let me ask you, is music like your escape from anything? Like when hard day at work, just bad day in general, or even in fun times when you're having fun, you want to have more fun. Is music your escape and your outlet?
Oh, 100%. Music's just everything to me. I like to. I mean, we'll be having a conversation and one word will trigger a song and I'll just start singing it. So
there you go.
So it's like it's music's always around, So music's always around us and it's it's about taking time and being mindful. And even when we sit down outside, I mean, the original songstresses are singing out there, the birds, the trees, the wind, So it's like we have this all around us. And so that's why I heard this phrase called song catching instead of songwriting, right? I think it's a beautiful thing. We just catching these. I feel like a lot of it's already been written and already been played and already been said. So we just have these catching moments, but then we can put our own individual stamp on it with what you were saying. Like we have our own experience. So this one song written for what I may have written about one thing can expand to so much. And then as long as that feeling can be like tapped into so that we can remember this event and like not hold it in, the suppression, right? So we suppress, like let's be in this and let's get this out so that we don't have to hold so much on our shoulders, right? And we can feel lighter as humans when we don't hold things in and we were able to move the energy, right? And we'll be able to show up in life a little more for maybe our kids, partners, family, friends, and just show up as our higher selves.
For sure. And yeah, like music in general, especially let's go into like writing songs, especially when you're going through something. It doesn't even have to be writing songs, just like I said before, even as an artist and a listener, I think the other thing too is that we don't realize is that music can take us places too. Not only like yourself, just going big right now, but it can also take us to places that we want to be and where we like to be, like for me personally, and I'm sure for you too as an artist, when I used to write music, it always had to be at like a certain place. I had to go there and write. For you on your Instagram and stuff, I see you like the beach. I don't know, is Waimanalo, is that your spot?
I love Waimanalo.
Right.
I mean, that spot, that it's when you go to these places, like, just like bring it out of you. You know, I'm not a very like, I can, but I don't. Let me rewind a second. So like having it in my mind, right? I'm gonna go write today. Like, that's not me.
Yep.
It's like these songs just come up. You know, it could be midnight. Wake up in the middle of the night, but I'm gonna have a pen and paper like ready to at least jot the idea down so I can, have it for whenever I'm like awake. But no matter what, and even with these phones, these days, just a voice memo, just real quick, just so you can catch the melody. But I think what you're saying, like songwriting, I love songwriting, and that includes not only lyrics but writing the harmonies, which chord progressions for the songs, and taking it places, right? Because there's those two spaces, right? Songwriting, so lyric writing can take you on a ride. Melody writing, which is kind of a part of that, take you on a ride, right? The actual harmony writing, the chord progressions, that's where, the listeners are going to grab and they're going to go, like, you want to take them for an adventure, right? And sometimes 4 chords and the truth is all you need. But whenever you have those chord changes, like, that's what's going to trigger the ear, right? And it's like, whoa, where are they taking it, right? So to me, like, dropping in with all of that, what I just said, like, that is my escape. Finding the unique ways of taking songs and making them not mundane, right? Like my first song I listened to just not too long ago, and I'm like, oof, But we have to have appreciation for that. We had to start somewhere.
Definitely.
Just 4 chords and just one solid melody through it, But now when I look back and I'm where I'm at now, it's like there's just so much that it just gives you that remembering, like, wow, I've come a long ways, and sometimes I have those moments whenever I reflect back and hear where I've come from to where I am now, and just knowing, like, I have these tools where I can step outside of this key. Like, I don't have to stick to just a key of C, let's say. Like, I can take the relative minor and go that way, or go Dorian, Mixolydian. There's all these modes depending on what you want to feel, right? And, I think one of my biggest muses is Pharrell, and he just has a beautiful way of putting it, and he's a very spiritual kind of approach as well, but he like reverse engineers feelings. Like, what does he feel, and then how can I reverse engineer that into music and create that feeling, right? I always love that. So that's where I try to go in my songwriting, is like, if I'm feeling a certain way, like how do I translate that into music that when people listen to it, they're gonna feel the same thing. That does go into it, but also the writing is, a lot of it is to cope, right? And to escape or to dive into what I'm going through. Like, all my songs I write are about my personal experience. Definitely. Like, I don't think I've ever written a song where I'm just like,
I think it would be pretty hard to do that.
Yeah, like writing from different perspectives, and certain people can do that, and maybe one day I'll try it. But and just like, I think you just got to fully embody it. But I know I connect more. It's obvious. I connect more when it's my experience. Because then you're going to get all of me. When I'm performing it, it's like, because I'm feeling that emotion. It's I'm not just made up story, right? This is real. This is like what I'm going through. And it's, and too, songwriting is very vulnerable, right? It's like you're telling, it's like reading somebody, or actually singing somebody your journal. That's the way I look at it. And so when you're sharing these things, it also brings up a lot, when you're playing them, but for the listeners. And so it's an absolute beautiful thing. Songwriting and just in general, and what it can do for this world as far as like wellness, and for not only the listeners but for the players and just everyone else involved, right?
Definitely.
Beautiful thing.
It is. And I think you bring up a good point too. Like, every musician out there that writes original songs, like, it almost, like, every single song has to mean something to them. Yeah. For it to work, for them to perform it, like you said, like, when you perform your original song, because it just brings up stuff, you perform the best, or at your best, because you're feeling it throughout the entire thing. And let's go over some, like, professional musicians out there, which, I think the biggest one I can think of, let's go with Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah.
Every song that she writes, it's like, and
Yeah.
I know it's become a joke like online, right?
Yeah.
Like it's, oh man, it's like always about a breakup. But I mean, that's how she gets so big,
Hey.
man. It's about
She
how
just-
she's feeling. She's putting it all out on paper, and I
Yeah.
mean, now she's like what, almost a billionaire. My
I mean,
goodness,
she probably made it just off that Eras tour.
Probably.
But she's a core example of just like what. You even look at Ed Sheeran, like both of them.
Definitely.
They're like mega stars now, right?
Yep.
They're selling out arenas, and they're probably two of the biggest stars of our era. And go back and listen to the first tapes they put out, and they'll like, I know at least for Ed Sheeran, he'll laugh at, like, and show you. It's just like,
Yeah.
whoa, like it's not anything remotely close to what he's doing now, right? And so these, and even Taylor, like I heard, like even her first songs were like, but they just write and write and write and write. And Ed Sheeran says it the best, right? He says it's like an old tap, for water. He's like, when you turn that old tap off or turn the old tap on, it's like rusty, gritty water coming out, right? But the longer you let that tap run, the cleaner that water gets. So when you apply that to the songwriting, the more you're going to write some terrible songs. But you know what? You got to get to the end of it. You got to complete it so it feels like it's completed in your insides, right?
Yeah.
And so that you can move forward. But there's going to be that one that comes along, and you never know. It could just send you off, on the charts. But it's just about doing it. Pen to paper, writing. And those two are the prime example of that. And they've just written a gazillion songs, you know what I mean? But then now they just have learned and surrounded themselves with teams that just can do anything, There's some great, they just have great, they're also bringing in other like ways of revenue as well, right? So like Taylor doing that whole Eras tour and then making a movie about it. Come on. And then people are selling out, right? So she's like very creative, and there's so many ways to make ends meet in the music industry, and but obviously the money part's the money part, but like it's also back to the feelings, right? Where she writes, she's just writing that's her journal. She's very extremely vulnerable and just speaking about breakups, but you know what? She's doing good at the end of the day.
And
she looks happy to me.
Her 100-something billion fans out there are also relating to that feeling.
Yeah.
And that's why they're there.
That's
and that's
it.
why they're like paying how much are tickets for her now? It's crazy, man.
Probably
and they're
out of this world.
I have a friend that she's been to like 3 Taylor Swift concerts within the past 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. But
wow. But yeah, but that's a great point, and that comes back to it, right? So she's affecting so many people. You look at that. If you look, to tie in a point, I think music is probably the biggest, way of influencing.
definitely.
Because we as musicians can, if you get people following you, right? We as musicians, they listen to the lyrics. If you're speaking conscious, positive, it don't have to always be that way, but if you're at least helping and writing from a conscious space to help people move emotions and to find healing. I mean, I don't think there's any other more beautiful way to do that.
Definitely.
Than music.
Definitely.
So it has that power.
I think one of the first songs that made it big to let people know that, music can change lives would probably be We Are the World, right?
Most definitely.
And that was the first time, maybe not the first, but the first time it went big, where it's like music can definitely help make a movement.
Yeah. It just reminded you that music's a first language.
Yep.
Right? I could go in the middle of Africa and start playing my ukulele, and we're going to jam.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like words don't need to be, you don't even need to understand the words
There you go.
that
Yep.
I'm speaking. It's the music carries it. It's the first language. It'll speak for itself, right? And with that song, it just brought so many artists together to say, hey, we're all here. We stand united, and we're gonna sing, and we want to change. Change needs to happen. and that we are the world, and change exists in us as individuals, and we got to make that choice. And so when we can be influenced by somebody, such as musicians, then we can make our own, individual choices to show up as what I call. So my first single is called Illustrious Sunrise.
I remember that.
It's about finding clarity. And Illustrious Sunrise to me means finding the clarity to be the most highest version of ourselves, the best iteration of ourselves. And I think if we can do that on an individual level, then there might be a chance of achieving world peace,
Definitely.
or more peace around the world, because
Definitely.
it needs it.
And I think something that I read online, especially before any of this or this process, was, I think I just looked up, plain and simple, why is music so powerful in this world? And the first thing that I read, or the first article, is think about when you're a baby, right?
Oh yeah.
What does your mom do? She sings to you, right?
Heartbeat.
You step in an elevator. What is elevator music? Like, it's everywhere. Like, if we imagine a world without music, right?
Yeah. Cut and dry.
No radio in the car, no elevator music. I mean, no music in restaurants that you eat. Like,
yeah,
I can't picture it, because, from the day you're born, your parents sing you to sleep.
yeah.
Happy birthday, that's a song. Like, it's
lullabies,
right.
But when we're inside, mama's womb, it's like the heartbeat.
Yeah.
The heart. We all have rhythm. We heard a heartbeat. We have heartbeats. So it's like it's inside of all of us. Music is.
It is.
And a lot of people say, I'm tone deaf, can't hold a beat, whatever. Just gotta practice a little. Yep. But it's in us. You know what I mean? And if it was practiced as a culture, and that's why I'm so in love with like the African culture, right? It's like they can play anything. I'm telling you. I might have like generalized that, but I'm telling you, I've been a part and have taken part in some beautiful gatherings, and they are just, musicians from Africa are just incredible, because they've just been, it just becomes second nature to them. It's just like us brushing our teeth. We don't think about it. They just take it, and like that is a part of the culture. The music, like that is a huge part of the culture, and I think here it gets lost a bit. We don't introduce the arts, or we're not just coming together as like a village and just jamming like and playing music. But it's not only that, it's like a spiritual side too. Like they do it for all whatever means they have, and whatever they need to do, play music for. But it all has its own individual meanings and all that. But yeah, I just really fell in love, and I just want music to be around, and so practicing pitch and rhythm, that's the two things that I keep in my household for my daughter, and so that she can just be nurtured in that, and so that the music can be in her, and it already is. So
Oh yeah,
I've been doing my piece, doing my work, so
right
I feel good about that.
So last but not least, we're gonna have you play an original song. What original song have you chosen, and why? What does it mean to you on your individual and personal level?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna play Troubled Soul. This one is one of those songs. It's one of the ones that just happened. I probably wrote this in 15 minutes. It's a deep one. It's the deepest, most heartfelt song I've ever written. It's a sad one, but it's about my super close, dear brother that I grew up with. He passed away from overdose. So this one hits hard, right? But I wrote the song to cope, right? I didn't know how else to. All my life I've struggled to cry. Like I just don't cry. So, and that's a beautiful, amazing way to move energy, but I just don't. And so to me, like writing or just doing something, play golf or something, that's how I do it, right? So in that moment, I just knew I needed to move some energy, and this just went right onto paper. And so I've made some tweaks to it over the years. It was originally just 4 chords and my truth and what I needed to do to cope. And so now with what I've learned through schooling, I've made some changes in the harmony part to kind of push and pull and take us different places.
Definitely.
Yes.
How was I mean, man, well, first off, I'm so sorry about that. Second off, I can relate to you on that, the coping level about writing a song. How was that for you? Like, how'd you start? Where did it hit you to be like, okay, I need to take a step back and I need to, write about it?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest part is I just was in my home and just in the hole, right? In the grief, right? Just sitting around, just crushing beers and in grief, right? And which can be a vicious cycle. But I really knew I couldn't sit in that. It's not going to do me any good. So I really, I knew I had this thing, songwriting. And it was very new at the time. This song is pretty old. So I just knew I could resort to a pen and paper. And also these chords. I just started kind of noodling around on the ukulele and found this chord progression. And it started bringing forth where the title Troubled Soul with a heart of gold, right? Because it's like we don't know. And what always like ate at me is like people could put the biggest smile on their faces because he had already been going through a bout, but then like he came back, like he was there, he was so happy. And then there was these little signs that I just kind of like didn't follow up on, and you know what I mean? Like we just gotta be there for our friends and our family. Have the hard conversations that maybe they don't want to have, but that are necessary. Just to say, hey, like you're not alone, like just allow this love to come into your body because we're here for you. And I definitely didn't say that enough to him. I know he knew I loved him and I appreciate him so much. But through the process, I was able to move and sing this, and each time I play it, I feel a little bit more healing and just like a little bit more emotion, and it's not sitting anymore, and I'm able to release a little bit. So it's a deep one though.
You mind playing it for us?
Gotcha, man.
Let's do it.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Troubled soul with a heart of gold, trying to find his way. Faced with clouds of fury, old decisions get blurry. We shall meet again in a higher place. I look up to the sky, yeah, and I pray that there will be a day that I meet with you again. Times get tough and times get hard. I don't know what to say, 'cause you seem so far away. Troubled soul with the heart of gold, trying to find his way. Faced with clouds of fury, old decisions get blurry. We shall meet again in a higher place. The hurt that fills me up inside keeps on winning the fight. I feel so lost and I don't know what to do, because my heart is torn into pieces. There is no cure that can treat this. Even time can cure this broken heart. Troubled soul with the heart of gold, trying to find his way. Faced with clouds of fury, old decisions get blurry. We shall meet again in a higher place. Get down on your knees and pray with and it stays the same. The love that we share will never change. Troubled soul with the heart of gold, trying to find his way. Yeah. Faced with clouds of fury, all decisions get blurry. We shall meet again in a higher place. Yeah. Troubled soul with the heart of gold, trying to find his way. Faced with clouds of fury, all decisions get blurry. We shall meet again in a higher place. There we go.